Hello everyone, Ace here, and today I've decided to have yet another look at some video game history, and in the process answer the question, what exactly made Battlefield 2 Modern Combat great? First released all the way back in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox, and then getting ported to the Xbox 360 in 2006, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat stands out in its own unique little way for a number of reasons. It is so much more than just the first game meant for consoles within the franchise, and it has gone on to have a massive influence on the industry, albeit indirectly. But to understand why this is the case, let's look at what exactly made the game great. And the first thing that I would have to bring up that made the game great was the hot swap mechanic. Okay, this is the one feature that hasn't been replicated from Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, aside from the very first mission in Battlefield 1's campaign, but it is nevertheless an ingenious system that really does complement the gameplay, as well as complement the storytelling of the campaign. More on that later. But what exactly is the hot swap mechanic, you ask? Well, it's the ability to instantly assume direct control of any friendly soldier on the battlefield. Assuming you, of course, have line of sight on that friendly soldier. But this does have some massive benefits as far as the gameplay is concerned and as far as the pacing. Need to switch from easily being able to take out infantry to easily being able to take out vehicles? Just simply hot swap to a guy with a rocket launcher. Need to quickly move over to a specific location to press a button in order to complete an objective? Simply hot swap to a soldier that happens to be near it. Running low on health? Hot swap to a soldier that has more health. Don't have line of sight? Hot swap to a guy that does have line of sight. Even on its own, this was a mechanic that was really well done and made the game an absolute blast to play. But it also meshes very well with another mechanic, one that did get copied by a certain other franchise. And this leads me to the next thing that helped make Battlefield 2 Modern Combat great. The fact that it was an early pioneer of what we now today know as kill streaks. Now granted, this particular system did not provide the same sorts of benefits as found in, say, your typical Call of Duty game, but it did provide its own set. Specifically passive buffs to your health, ammo, reload speed, rate of fire, all of that good stuff, to a rather broken degree once you leveled it up enough. Things like having 4 times your normal health, as well as having that health regenerate, as well as separately getting a damage reduction due to body armor. Adding to this, the greatly increased movement speed, the damage per shot that you do, as well as the rate of fire increase being massive, to the tune of your assault rifle being able to fire as quickly as a minigun, all being separate buffs buffs that nevertheless are interacting with your character at the exact same time, you could effectively become a one-man doom stack, absolutely wrecking your enemies in the campaign mode. That said, to balance this out, these buffs are all temporary, and in order to keep them going, you have to keep killing and destroying enemies. You're not allowed to camp, you absolutely have to PTFO in order to keep these buffs going. So in that regard, it actually solves part of the problem that Call of Duty hasn't been able to solve with regards to kill streaks for a while. Dying does, of course, reset your kill streak back to 0, but hot swapping to another character allows you to retain the kill streak, meaning that the hot swap mechanics actively encourages you to keep utilizing it in order to keep your kill streak buffs still up. These two systems really do complement each other in the best way possible and make the game an absolute blast to play. Speaking of the campaign mode, there is another thing I do need to bring up that helped make the game great, that being its storytelling mechanics within the game. See, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat stands unique as arguably having one of the only Battlefield campaigns to still retain that multiplayer style essence of what Battlefield is all about. You know, having you be able to take on any role you want on a battlefield, and doing so under the context of these large-scale team-based battles. Now, don't get me wrong, the Bad Company games do have good campaigns, very good campaigns in fact. They still have the issue of you being a single specific individual dude that just so happens to be a member of a fire team of 4 dudes, taking out the entire enemy army by yourself, basically. In Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, it's much more of a larger scale sort of situation. You're a nameless, faceless soldier amongst many, playing more as a faction rather than anyone specific. And the storytelling is from the propaganda newsreels from both sides of the conflict, providing a warped description of the missions that you just completed. As strange as it may seem, this storytelling method, I would argue, does work surprisingly well, at least for an old school Battlefield style of game. That said, this does bring me quite cleanly to another thing that helped make the game great. The fact that Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare basically was a copycat of this game, even going so far as to even copy the very name of Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. Now, of course, I already mentioned the fact that Battlefield 2 Modern Combat had an early version of what we would today call kill streaks, but Call of Duty 4 also directly took some of the missions from Battlefield 2 Modern Combat as well. Remember, for example, that one mission in COD 4 where you had to come aboard and inspect a cargo ship and then flee from it while it was sinking? Yeah, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat had that mission. Alternatively, do you also remember that mission in COD 4 where you had to go into underground bunkers to stop Armageddon in the form of nukes being launched? Yeah, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat also had that mission. There's other similarities I could bring up between these two games, but I do believe I've well and truly made my point here that Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was, to put it in charitable terms, heavily inspired by Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. And considering the sheer influence that COD 4 had on the industry, a good portion of that influence can be credited directly to what Battlefield 2 Modern Combat did only a few years prior. In this way, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat may be relatively overlooked these days, but it cannot be overstated just how important an impact on the industry this game made. With all of that in mind, this has been Ace, and I hope you'll agree when I say that Battlefield 2 Modern Combat is great.